Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Why was Kegan Kline believed to be connected to the murders of Abby and Libby? On February 13, 2017, Abigail Williams and Liberty German were brutally murdered between 2:30 and 3:30 p.m. after being abducted off the southeast end of the old Monon High Bridge, which isn't an official part of the Monon High Bridge trail system, yet adults and kids would cross the bridge often. Their bodies were found the following day, a little after noon, on the property of Ron Logan, just below the Delphi cemetery. Although I have been told by a great source that the investigation into the Abby and Libby homicide case has been unable to find a connection between Kegan Kline and Richard Allen, I think it is useful to discuss the reasons why people continue to believe there is a connection, or why there may be yet an undiscovered connection of the two. On December 6, 2021, in a video put out by the Indiana State Police, the public was made aware of a fictitious online profile named Anthony Shotz.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of the Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Shotz. This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram.
The revelation of the Anthony Shotz profile prompted Wish TV to release an August 19, 2020 probable cause document revealing that Kegan Kline was the creator of the Shotz online profile while living at his father's residence in Peru, Indiana. Kegan Kline was arrested on August 29, 2020, and charged with 30 counts, including child exploitation, possession of CSAM material, as well as obstruction of justice. The probable cause document discusses the fruits of a search warrant that was executed on February 25, 2017, at the residence of Kegan and Tony Kline. According to investigators, the chain of events leading to the search warrant started when the Anthony Shotz profile communicated with a female youth connected to the sleepover that Abby and Libby were at just prior to their murders. The Anthony Shotz profile asked the youth for her address, and then on February 21, 2017, just 8 days after the murders, a person wearing a ski mask was observed looking into her bedroom window. Kegan Kline already knew this juvenile and where she lived, so Kegan wouldn't have needed her address. Detectives do not believe Kegan Kline killed Abby and Libby, but believe someone else used the Anthony Shotz online profile, perhaps a family member, living in the same house. The probable cause document states that Kegan and his father, Tony, had just returned from a trip to Las Vegas, where Kegan Kline miraculously found a Samsung Galaxy S5 in a rental car. This phone was factory reset on February 23, 2017, while still in Las Vegas, one day after the first major press conference regarding the murders of Abby and Libby. Inside the residence, investigators discovered a treasure trove of phones and other digital devices filled with CSAM material, including the Samsung Galaxy S5 he claims he found in Las Vegas. His own Apple iPhone 5C, that he was using during the time of the murders, was not given to investigators at the time. Later in the evening, on the same day as the search warrant, Kegan Kline was polygraphed at the Peru State Police Post by Sergeant Matthew Collins. The questions were regarding the case of Abby and Libby. The polygraph was concluded at 7:30 p.m. Kegan Kline was then transported back to his residence. Upon returning home, Kegan claims he found his iPhone 5C just sitting in plain sight. Kegan has two stories on how he found it. Kegan claimed in a videotaped statement on August 19, 2020, that he found his phone in the kitchen on top of the microwave. In the Barbara McDonald interview with Kegan Kline that took place on December 9, 2021, Kegan stated he found his phone right on the counter and that he immediately called investigators and they came the next day to get the phone. The statement he gave Barbara McDonald was false. Through digital forensic analysis, At 9:19 p.m., not long after returning from the polygraph exam, the user of Kegan's iPhone 5C started to uninstall and delete apps from the phone. The user uninstalled and deleted Snapchat at approximately 10:14 p.m. The user uninstalled and deleted Instagram from the phone. The next day, on February 26, 2017, at approximately 1:12 p.m., the user uninstalled and deleted MeetMe from the phone. The user put Snapchat back on the device, and on February 27, 2017, at approximately 1:28 p.m., the user again uninstalled and deleted it from the phone. Not long after, Kegan called the Indiana State Police to return his Apple iPhone 5C. Kegan admitted to using these applications to chat with underage girls. The evidence contained in these applications were destroyed when the user deleted them from the device before turning it in to law enforcement. I think it's very interesting that Kegan Kline uninstalled and deleted apps knowing this would effectively wipe out any of the information on the phone regarding the use of those apps, and doing so just after being polygraphed regarding the Abby and Libby murder case. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. The videotaped statement that Kegan gave to investigators on August 19, 2020, revealed the connections the Anthony Shotz profile had with Liberty German and other suspicious information. One of the pieces of information included that Kegan Kline, after being questioned about the Delphi case and coming home to uninstall apps off his phone, etc., he searched for how long does DNA last? Why would Kegan Kline do that? It was also revealed that prior to and during the trip to Las Vegas, Kegan was searching for information about the murders of Abby and Libby nonstop. Claims in the polygraph exam, which was right after returning from Las Vegas, that he didn't know who Libby was. We also learned that Liberty German was being groomed by Anthony Shotz, the fictitious online profile, and Liberty was completely enthralled by Anthony Shotz and is completely in love with Anthony Shotz. That's what investigators were able to determine based on reading the conversations between Anthony Shotz and Liberty German. We then learned that Kegan Kline created, as we know, the Anthony Shotz profile, but he also created a fictitious female Emily Ann account that would initiate conversations with girls and even receive CSAM material by convincing girls to send nude images. This material and information was then shared in the Kegan Kline Dropbox account. Kegan's Dropbox account led to a major child pornography ring. In fact, it was one of the largest in Indiana state history. Does law enforcement know all the names of the people that access the Dropbox account either directly or indirectly? Let me know what you think in the comments. During this videotaped interview, investigators informed Kegan Kline that they are aware that the Anthony Shotz profile communicated with one of Libby's friends after the murders, and she said to Shotz, "Did you hear what happened?" And then Shotz responded, "Oh my God, what?" And Anthony Shotz's reaction seems to imply he had prior knowledge. He then went on to say he was supposed to meet Abby and Libby that day, but they never showed up. Since Kegan doesn't look like Anthony Shotz, was someone going to show up in his place? If the girls never showed up, was the person pretending to be Anthony Shotz there to witness that they never showed up? If so, who was he and where was he? On August 19, 2022, Kegan Kline was transferred temporarily from the Miami County Jail into the custody of the Indiana State Police. According to the Murder Sheet podcast, Kegan met with multiple federal agencies near the Grissom Air Base, perhaps at the Miami Correctional Facility. This is the same day that investigators began searching the Wabash River for a metallic item in connection to Kegan Kline. Investigators could be seen in the water using metal detectors looking for an item. Crash reconstructionists were seen on the bridge, likely determining the trajectory of an item tossed off the bridge. Investigators searched the Wabash River for 40 days. On September 19th, again according to the Murder Sheet podcast, Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter, the face of the Delphi investigation, flew over the search scene. Did law enforcement at the time believe that Kegan Kline threw something in the water on his way back home after the murders of Abby and Libby? Let me know what you think in the comments. The search ended on September 28, 2022. 1 week prior to the conclusion of the search of the river, on September 21, 2022, Detective Liggett was provided a tip narrative from the Orion system by the Department of Natural Resources, Lieutenant Dan Doolin. This narrative implicated Richard Allen, a resident of Delphi, Indiana, as a possible suspect. Did the investigation into Kegan Kline lead to the discovery of the Richard Allen narrative? The timing seems to suggest that some element of the investigation into Kegan Kline led investigators to look through old interviews. One more piece of intriguing information that was also claimed by the podcast Murder Sheet was that Kegan Kline searched for the Marathon gas station in Delphi, Indiana, on the very same day of the murders. Apparently, investigators had issues regarding the surveillance footage at this gas station and were not able to view it. This gas station is 7/10 of a mile from Richard Allen's house. Was Kegan Kline going to Delphi on that day to meet Richard Allen? Was Richard Allen going to give Kegan Kline something? Or is this just another coincidence? As I mentioned at the start, a great source told me that investigators have found no connection between Richard Allen and Kegan Kline. Does that mean there isn't one? Perhaps a more loosely connected link exists, but hasn't been discovered yet. I think it's possible that Richard Allen was made aware that Abby and Libby were going to be on the trails that day by a non-digital source that is connected to Kegan Kline's Dropbox. Richard Allen seemed to be aware of the same information that a person using the Anthony Shotz profile was aware of. This could also turn out to be what my original theory was, and that theory was that a serial killer-like person was hunting for a victim that day, and Abby and Libby were the unfortunate ones to fall into his trap. It's just very difficult to ignore the Kegan Kline connection. On March 30th, 2023, Kegan Kline pled guilty to 25 counts, including CSAM, exploitation, synthetic identity deception, and obstruction of justice. On July 27, 2023, Kegan Kline was sentenced to 43 years in prison with 3 years suspended. He will be serving his time at the Wabash Valley Correctional Facility near Sullivan. There was a belief that Kegan Kline possibly cut a deal with law enforcement, leading to the arrest of Richard Allen. However, the 43-year sentence is contradictory to that. Could it be that now that Kegan received the 43-year sentence, his only hope is to give information to get an earlier parole as a deal? I guess we'll find out. Is this just one big, amazing coincidence? Are we to believe a catfishing account named Anthony Shotz and created by Kegan Kline was amazingly kept from meeting Libby on February 13, 2017 because a random, unlinked killer, Richard Allen, got to her first? Man, that's hard to believe. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a comment in the comments section and like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.